And I'll back up McCullough, the apartments. They're great. The mixed use at the Alameda and Pierce, and I said that. But those were things where people probably got on board and said, hey, this is the way we want it, or you're not going to do it. So I'll finish up by that and say, you know, I am for change to change this ordinance and move it and go forward. So unless another council member has something to say, I'm through. Yeah, you go right ahead.
Can I make a suggestion? Is that George, I believe this is your responsibility, or somebody to proofread this thing.
I think there was Mr. DeFries, you know, cherry-picked a few items out of here.
Right.
It was just a misspelling and stuff like that. If I can go over it, you know, that item section 1B, all businesses should be an ES, and restaurant businesses,
right,
and visitor accommodations. And then when it goes down to it, it says design in all retail businesses, restaurants, and the thing was out of kilter. It says, in the 3rd Street Historical District mixed-use zoning shall be reviewed with Chapter 1106 of the Historical Resources Design. And that was the way the Planning Commission, it got mixed up because it didn't get corrected in that thing. Okay?
That particular section, subsection D, is not part of the
exactly
what will become law. Those are more in the way of
recital.
Okay.
Well, I always felt that the historic district is protected.
Yes.
I mean,
absolutely.
We're not going to put.
Wait a minute. I've got the floor here, and I want to reiterate because I'm reporting what the Planning Commission found. Is Section 4 is they said for retail businesses and restaurant businesses and visitor accommodations, these findings shall be required. Is the businesses offer merchandise and services that add to the diversity and character of the city. That the businesses will complement and enhance the character. Both the exterior and exterior appearances of the preservation of the business are compatible with the existing scale and development, and distinct architectural design and be pedestrian-oriented in the town character and result in enhancement and look and feel and character of the surrounding area. All signs will conform to the sign standards and the sign and San Juan Bautista design guidelines. Drive-through quick-serve restaurant establishments will only be allowed in the automobile-oriented districts, which Mr. McCormick said are only 2, 1 acre and a 3 acre. All businesses must comply with the San Juan, all businesses. And then it says the San Juan Historical District will allow retail and restaurant businesses on vacant parcels that could be developed and would be reviewed in accordance with Chapter 1118 of the Site and Design Reviews and Chapter 1106 of the Historical Preservation. And we specifically tailored it that says anything in this 3rd Street Historical District will be reviewed not only as the design and site guidelines, but as well as the historical preservation guidelines. Those are the elements that the Planning Commission there. It also, I want to just reiterate, the original retail business development had structures of 5,000 square feet. We built it up to 7,000 square foot. And the reason that we did that is if you go to Neal's Market, it wouldn't qualify for if somebody wanted to move in there and then put an Ace Hardware store. They couldn't do it in the Neal's Market because it wouldn't meet the 5,000 square foot. So we inched it exactly up to 7,000. That will allow Neal's Market, if it never sold, that Ace Hardware or True Value could move in there. And that was the other finding. So what they're saying is that we don't want franchise businesses, but franchise businesses are going to be mom and pop because we won't allow big box, and we're restricting everything to the smaller 7,000, and we've made the findings that support the character of the city.
I feel better.
Designated the downtown 3rd Street as sacred. Only vacant lots can come in with any type of businesses, but it's got to go through one site and design review as well as historical preservation guidelines. So what they're saying is, oh no, we don't want it. There is protections, and I have the greatest faith and our planning commission will work with our city council. They're going to do the right thing.
Go ahead, Joey.
I think, Roger, you just pointed out to me why a vital city like Seal Beach that doesn't lack for tourists whatsoever, every day of the week there are thousands of people in those businesses, and none of them are franchised downtown. And I think you just hit on one of the reasons why a downtown district like Seal Beach, or which is much bigger than us, but it's like our downtown, in that there's a bunch of small buildings. These big places aren't going to move into, you're not going to get a McDonald's into any of the little vacant storefronts downtown. They're not going to go in there. And so by restricting this sort of thing, and you're saying Neil's is about a 7,000 square foot building, and that's what you used as
It's slightly under 7,000.
But so bigger than that
Yeah, exactly.
wouldn't
Yeah.
work. And just for the public, can I just read A, B, and C on this?
You're welcome to.
Because I think might help them to understand what it is that we want to do here.
Okay.
The continued vitality of the city's economy is dependent upon tourism and upon the ability of the city's commercial zone districts and 3rd Street historic districts to attract both residents and visitors. That's key to me, because I can't find very much I want to buy downtown. I mean, I go downtown and I buy little things, but it'd be nice to have some places there that I could actually shop in and get something I want. And I'm not saying I don't like ice cream and I don't like restaurants, but sometimes I want to shop. And preservation of the existing character and scale of the city's commercial zone district and 3rd Street Historic District is vital to the continuation of the city's ability to attract tourism and other visitors. Preservation of the existing character and scale of the city's commercial zone district and 3rd Street Historic District is also important to maintain the distinctive small-town charm and character enjoyed by current residents. All retail businesses, restaurant businesses, and visitor accommodations in the commercial zone district shall be reviewed in accordance, and that's when it goes into all of the review processes that we have in place that they would have to go through. And I think it doesn't open us up to every Tom, Dick, and Harry that wants to come. And most of the fears of people that some big box thing is going to come in just isn't going to happen, because they have the really big ones have restrictions on how you have to build the place, and it's not going to fit into how we're going to tell them they have to build it if they want it here.
Exactly, and a good example of this is you'll be approaching an appeal, for Monarco Station, and they've made that completely different than a standard station. By delaying this, is it puts into jeopardy that you could even consider that Arco Station down the line in your appeal. So it's important that this thing move forward with these corrections so that you can come in and still consider the Arco Station.
George, could you make the changes if we took
I'll work with the planner, yeah.
No. What I guess where I'm going, I'm not an attorney, so to take a vote on it tonight, the city manager wants to see it move forward. We have an appeal a week from tonight. If we take can you scribble basically?
Your first reading and introduction with the amendments. The second reading will be at your March meeting for adoption.
This will not be in effect by next Tuesday.
No. What I'm saying is, but to get the changes in there for us to take a vote on it tonight, to make sure everybody's on sync what we're voting on, what the city manager has relayed to us, to go page by paragraph and page by page and say, that's what that's right, that's wrong, but that.
It's introduced tonight, but the introduction should be conditioned on the clearing up that section D, which admittedly has some gaps in it. And also, just to be read this correct, the style of the definitions in chapter 1129 are that a term is used and then following is the word means, and then the rest of it's already in use. So that can be changed pretty readily.
Okay.
Can I make a motion?
With the corrections and make it...
I'd like to make a motion when we approve this with the corrections.
You're introducing it.
I'm sorry, introduce this,
To read by title only and waive the reading.
right,
No reading required.
uh,
It's already been read.
yeah, it's been done, right?
So the effect
Well,
won't be
I just
until
move
next
for approval of,
No.
no, what?
Introduce. Make it-
Introduction of the ordinance 2014, whatever.
Until it's adopted, is that correct?
That is
That's
correct.
I guess I did it right.
Question before the vote.
What's the resolution?
If we introduce tonight, can we make changes in the wording before adoption?
If you make changes in the wording at the time of adoption, you would have to reintroduce, probably if they're substantive, you would have to reintroduce, and then it would come back.
If it's grammatical, you could change it, but if it's substantive.
I'm talking substantive.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
Is there, what's the resolution number?
Just
There isn't
There-
one
there
until
won't be a
until
resolu-
next month.
yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, yeah.
So this is just a,
Second.
I thought you said you were going to consider it earlier.
Yeah, it's not really fair for you now to vote when you did not give us, or the rest of the residents in town, a written completed form. I'm sorry.
You know what, can I answer that? George, can I
I
answer
wish
that?
you would.
Yes.
I don't know how many planning commission meetings this was discussed at.
I've been
Where
to
were
the
you?
committee. I was there.
It doesn't
sir.
matter.
I was there.
Okay.
but there
You're
was
the one
no-
adopting it.
Okay, I made a motion and we adopt this ordinance, period. I haven't heard a second yet.
Introduce.
Introduce.
Introduce this. Problem.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, is there any further discussion before we take a vote?
Just on the
George?
issue that no one, just hearing the comment in the audience, no one's seen it, the only, I made a couple of suggestions when I saw this yesterday for change, and the only thing I suggested was that the word development be added to visitor accommodation, and that the terms retail business development, restaurant business development, and visitor accommodations development be used in full in the ordinance itself, rather, because those are the terms that drive the ordinance.
What section are you in, George?
Pardon me?
What section are you in?
He just,
Section 4,
Oh, okay.
and also the definition section. So what I'm telling you is that if you want to continue it to reintroduce after all the corrections are in, that's fine, but the modifications from the one that's in the agenda packet are really not substantive. There's and the only thing that we're suggesting we change now, as I hear the motion, is clear up that section D, which is not part of the actual law that will go into effect, which is ultimately approved, and also change the definitions to follow the style of the definition section 1129.
Can I mention something on this idea that it has to be available to the public to read? Before I was on council, I went to the library before every city council meeting and read all of the ordinances and everything that was offered. And I know that this was in the library, and the changes that you made, because we got the email on the changes that you suggested, and those wouldn't have been in the copy at the library, but they do not substantially change the
Right.
ordinance.
Right, and they've been explained this evening.
Yes.
In the ordinance, the original ordinance, without those non-substantive changes,
Was available for public review, both at City Hall and the library. And if anybody wanted to read it, they could go there and read it.
The ordinance introduced will be obviously available with the next agenda packet with all the changes that have been suggested and available, to the public, and there will be a full hearing at that time.
Okay, go,
And a
City
motion
Manager.
and a second
Yeah.
to read.
Is there any other, before I call for a vote, any other questions? Okay, City Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Edge,
No.
Councilmember Bach,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
Councilmember Lund,
Yes.
and Councilmember Cosio.
Aye.
All members of the council being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes on a vote of 4-1, with Councilmember Edge voting no.
Okay. Okay, moving on. Item number 6, discussion items. Resolution to protect the city groundwater and the aquifers. Roger.
This is a follow-up to the presentation that was made in terms of the fracking, and we've included a resolution that came from the Aromas Water District, and we've ordinance 2012-15 for your review, as well as the attached ordinance that was prepared by the Rising Group that asked that you consider some sort of ordinance similar to this that would go on record as to promote the health and welfare of the city as well as our ground and protect our groundwater.
Okay, I'll bring it back to the council before I open it up for public. Jolene or Rick or whoever wants to chime in.
Are we going to be looking at an ordinance or a resolution?
It's entirely up to the council and their direction.
What's on the agenda is for discussion only, and
Yeah.
and it says resolution.
Okay.
So that's what comes.
Okay, because the title on the agenda, even though we're looking at an ordinance is
Well, I think that's in the budget, for example.
in the packet, and then there is also a resolution that the Aromas Water District passed for us to look at. Yeah, they're both just examples. I would just like to query the council and see if everyone is more interested in a resolution like they passed in Aromas, or this example of the ordinance that was suggested by the San Benito Rising Group.
Okay, I'll just chime in here. The Aromas Water District ordinance, I called and talked to, is it Vicki Morris out there? I know that there's an advocate out there that's, it's actually, pretty strong against fracking. So I wanted to see what they had, and Vicki faxed it over, and we got it. And then I got a call, and I mentioned it to Supervisor Bertello to see what they were doing, because I wanted to just, before I make a decision, I want to bounce it off everybody. And then what I did, and you probably saw it, I get Charter TV, but I watched it twice with Sean Novak, I think it was Kate Woods, and David Hubble on a weekend as an hour segment on fracking or oil drilling in San Benito County. And it was neat. I actually watched it twice, came back on, and I talked to Citadel. I guess they sent me a contract. I guess they have a contract, or they're drilling in Bitterwater down there or something. But I talked to, I think it's Armin, and he asked me. He says, "Hey, before you guys make a decision, can we, we'd like to come to the council and just say, hey, what we're doing." And I think personally, want to hear all sides, and I think if they're willing, they will come up, and you're welcome to come. And actually, what they're doing in San Benito County, and then we can hear and we can gather more information from the county, even Sam Farr's office, what the state's doing, the feds, and then we can come to a conclusion. But the bottom line, yeah, I do want safe drinking water, so I know where you're at. I wish you could deal with the nitrate problems. We don't have, no, I mean, that's a problem. That's a huge, I mean, we're tearing our, we're going nuts on that. But that's the problem. And we know where it's coming from. But, I'm not saying that this oil thing won't be a problem down the road. But right now it's the nitrates and everything. But that's where I'm at. I mean, I'm respectful of everybody to come. And I saw that gentleman on TV, and it was a civilized, conversation between the moderators and everybody. Hey, that's pretty good. So I emailed him. He emailed me right back. Said, Andy, before you make it, you guys crank something out, I'd like to come and speak to you people. So that's where I'm at. I don't have a problem. I know where you're going with this thing, but that's, it's a discussion item, so that's what I know about it and how I feel. Robert? Rick?
Pretty much the same. We've been, hitting this at intergovernment and coming in, and we've heard from people in the audience last time around. I don't know, is there people that want to come and drill here?
No, it's a safety issue, and
yeah,
just before we put everything in a package, I think we should hear from all sides, and then we can hammer everything out, and and crank something out that's that's going to suffice.
Yeah, we heard. We heard from before when they said, "Well, we live on the fault. There's fracking every day." And it doesn't seem to disturb anything, but why add to it?
Yeah.
I'm willing to listen to a presentation. Everything I've heard about fracking so far sounds negative to me, but by the same token, I don't think that anybody's going to try and drill on the Cagney lot up here and put an oil well up there. So I see this more as a statement than anything else. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to try and drill within the city limits. But I don't know. I'm not excited about the prospect.
I guess I'll just bring it back. I'll probably come to something, but I just figured that other people wanted to make us, bring their side to it before we hammered something out. I thought that was fair, so that's where I'm at.
I'm in strong support of this anti-fracking, period. And I would like to see it not only in San Juan, but at least San Juan's sphere of influence. And I mean, I know there's been a lot of propaganda. A guy turns on his water and faucet and holds a match under it and it catches on fire type of thing. Hey, I don't know if that's true or not, but I don't see any advantage to us to allow fracking here, plus the fact that this fracking process uses an awful lot of water. Hey, you guys know as well as I do. Well, maybe they could take our nitrated water and use it in the well.
I was just thinking of that.
But
we could sell it to them.
We can allow it on Mission Vineyard.
Right. I kind of would like San Juan to make a statement in effect that, hey, we don't want this done in our sphere of influence. Bitter water, you want to let them do it? It's up to you. But everything I've seen about it, I don't see any advantages other than they're getting a lot of dirty oil out of the ground.
Go ahead.
I understand your suggestion to hear from all sides, and that's the fair thing to do. I doubt it'll change those of us who may already have our minds made up, but it's still an important part of the process, and we should hear from all sides. My question for you, Andy, is do you picture having them come as a presenter or having them come on a night when we're thinking about a resolution?
No,
Have them
come as a presenter.
first?
I mean, they can get, like everybody else and say, hey, this is what we're doing. They're the only company in San Benito County that's drilling, as far as I know.
Yeah.
They have a contract with the county. And then maybe at that time, Supervisor Bertello, who represents us, can be here too, to sit in on it. Because I don't think that anybody's ever, the only one that you see on TV when they set out, I got the idea, and I'm saying, okay, they're drilling in San Benito County. What are you doing? He goes, hey, I'll be glad to come to your meetings and and go over everything. So he asked. So to say, we don't want you, I'll make my decision at the end of the day. But I think we can wait 30, 60 days.
Yeah, I
You know.
propose that we have them come to our next meeting and speak to us as a presenter, and then
Okay.
the following meeting, if we want to, we can put something on
That's fine. How's council?
on the agenda. And meanwhile, I think we've already directed Matt to work something into the general plan.
Right.
Yeah, and I think
regarding-
that is our overall goal, is to, the primary scope is to protect the groundwater. It's the most valuable resources we have, is to protect it. And we have to have a mission statement in our general plan, as well as goals and objectives. And then if there is necessary, is to have some type of regulatory ordinances or resolutions that would reinforce that.
Yeah, even if it's just making a statement, I think that,
Protection
is
of
in
the
our best
groundwater is utmost important.
yeah. Is
Our-
that,
That's fine. I'll email them and try to get on the next council meeting and let everybody know.
'Cause I think we
So
should move
then it's fair for
forward.
everybody, and then we can make a decision what we want to do.
Yeah, we've had a couple scares of losing water, this year alone with main break and wells going out. And I don't think there's any surrounding areas that'll volunteer to give us water if something happens to our water source without it costing millions and millions of dollars. It's pretty much, if the water's gone, we're gone.
Yep.
You have to speak.
Oh, man. Right, come on up. Sorry.
Sonia Reyna is the first speaker.
If the water's poisoned, we're all dead.
If we ran
It's
out of
blatant,
it, we're all
it's
dead.
very blatant, so you guys have to make the right decision.
Thanks, honey. Next time.
Samuel Ramos.
I'm Samuel Ramos, I'm Samuel Ramos, and I'm with somebody who is totally against fracking, and it's interesting what you're saying, because we are the community, we're people, we have no vested interest, we make no money from oil, but I'm thinking about my grandchildren, I'm thinking about my daughters, you see. And this is, and about this fire on the tap water, this is real, man. I mean, and, we're joking, we should bring some of that water that's been messed up elsewhere, like Pennsylvania and North Dakota, and maybe ask people if they want to drink it, because it's bad, it's real bad, and but that's the thing that I think you should keep in mind, that we're just community people, that we're not. In fact, I'm one of the Indians that Sonny spoke about. Yeah. So, and my people have been concerned about this for many, many years, and they've gotten it right, the indigenous people. So, we hope that you do. I do hope that you ban fracking from San Juan Bautista, and I really.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks.
Larry Rebecki.
Good evening. This is the third meeting that I've attended. I attended the December and the January meeting, and I am very pleased with the level of communication. You listen to both sides, And I'm glad you're letting Citadel come in. I think it's only fair for them to come in and give a presentation. And I grew up with a father who was a city clerk, became a councilman, a mayor, and eventually became a city administrator. And earlier when the sheriff didn't want to give his email, I understood that because there were many nights when my father received phone calls. This was way before email. And my mother would get up and they would get into arguments. And my father would go out and get in the ditches and fix water lines, etc., etc. So I can understand that, you know, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. And I almost feel like I walked into a landmine here with this ordinance change. And I think as long as you follow the restrictions you have in place, you're going to keep the big boxes out and you'll be able to maintain your atmosphere. I was a former resident of San Juan, and I mentioned in December, my wife and I got married here at the Mission, and I have a lot of pride in this community. And getting back to the water issue tonight, that's the main issue that I came here for. I'm against fracking. The San Benito County Water District on KSVW announced that they're going to cut back 15% to all the farmers and the ranchers and industrial people in San Benito County that come within their jurisdiction. And and anybody that goes beyond that restriction is going to pay heavy fines, I mean big time fines. So this is a serious, serious matter, contamination of our groundwater. I did speak in December about the faults, and we have the largest one here, San Andres Fault, runs right by the Mission. And my concern at that time was the stimulation of seismic activity. We already have a lot of seismic activity, and fracking undoubtedly causes movement of the earth. So you're not talking just about groundwater contamination, you're also talking about seismic potential, and we don't want that. We don't need it. San Benito Rising, we're going to put an initiative on the ballot for there's no doubt in my mind. I've talked to many residents in your community. I've talked to residents in Hollister. I'm well known in Hollister. We have a lot of contacts. We've canvassed the community. We're going to put it on the ballot. We're going to ban fracking in San Benito County. That's what the people want, and that's what we're going to vote on. And I would hope that even though you're a city of history, you're also going to be a city of the future, and you're going to be ahead of the curve.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Natasha Wist.
Yes, I'm Natasha. I live in the unincorporated area of San Benito County. First of all, I want to express my appreciation to all of you. I am much impressed by your willingness to listen to the people, to listen to the public, by your attitude towards us, by your patience of staying here till many hours. And I believe that, in my experience, you are unique in this county as far as city and county governments. And I think San Juan Bautista has always had a reputation for being kind of a unique, if not maverick, city. And thank goodness for that. So I really appreciate the fact that these meetings are to me an expression of true democracy, that this is what democracy looks like. And so thank you. And of course, you've heard me before, I'm a member of the San Benito Rising. And I want to just comment on two things. Not in my backyard, the NIMBY principle. I know we all have been affected by that in one way or another, especially if we move around in this state or in this country. And it's time to go beyond that. Because yes, we live in our own backyards, but we also live in a community, and we also live in an area, in a cultural situation, in a state, in a nation, on this planet. And so what we do here is going to affect who knows how many lives, and it will certainly have an impact on our own future generations. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is that, yes, have Citadel come. I've been to the Dogger meetings in Salinas. I've been to the Bureau of Land Management meetings in Hollister and in Salinas, and Citadel representatives have been there. And they have their very slick presentation. But let us not forget that we are the people, and the oil corporations are in business for one thing: to make profits for their investors. It's profits over people, and this is the nature of our capitalist system. I mean, it's built in. So to pretend that they're going to somehow benefit the places where they're fracking, we need to look much deeper into the many, many studies that are coming out. And today on the news, I heard about Williston, North Dakota, that a friend of mine...
I mean, I just wrap it, summarize.
Okay.
If you would,
Yes.
just summarize, because
Okay.
it's been...
Williston, North Dakota
I gotta abide by the rules.
is a total
Fired.
disaster. They've been fracking there for some years. And recently there were 300 small earthquakes recorded in Oklahoma, which has never had earthquakes, directly related to the fracking. And I just wanted to also mention that the nitrates in the soil, many of them are the result of the use of oil-based fertilizers for years.
Okay,
in
thank
our
you.
farmlands.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else?
Yes, Andy Shaw Carone.
When you invite in Citadel, before you do, I suggest you look at a brief documentary. Go to YouTube and look at a little documentary called The Sky is Pink. And it's because the industry, going all the way back to the cigarette industry, has their point. They come in and doctors say, this stuff will give you cancer. And then they come in and they say, oh no, cigarettes don't give people cancer. You know, essentially the industry's job is to come and tell you that there's no problem with what they're doing. And they have the right to do that. It's a free society, but you should know that that's what the role is. And their effort is to basically internalize the benefits from the business and externalize the costs. And that means the cost will be to the community. You guys will pay if you have problems with your well. They won't. And if they're a small business, they'll declare bankruptcy, like the folks back east who polluted the water for 300,000 folks. They declared bankruptcy. They're not going to pay for the cleanup or the damage. So I recommend that you think about, not just a resolution, but that you think about an ordinance. You could start like Santa Cruz by passing a moratorium, saying nothing's going to happen on this score until we incorporate rules into our general plans. That's one way to stop the process right away. And I think you should think about your whole sphere of influence, as because the aquifers don't stop at the edge of your city. They extend in, and you have to protect the people of the city. Now, it's been mentioned we are going to be bringing a ordinance to the whole county. The lawyers we're working with are working on the documents right now. In just a couple weeks, it's going to be filed. And I have full confidence we're going to collect enough signatures from what we've seen in this town and other towns to put it on the ballot in November. But you could help the process by making sure we do protect our water and by taking a stand on the issue. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
The last speaker is Mary Shaw Carone.
Thank you. I'll try to keep this brief. I wanted to point out that at the BLM Hollister meeting about the oil and gas leases in San Benito County, they showed a map that actually struck me. It showed a zone where there's a high petroleum potential and extends from Hollister through San Juan all the way to Sargent Oil Field. So I looked at the Dogger map. This is online. I can email it to you. But there's actually quite a few old oil fields that old oil wells that have been plugged. They were productive at one time. And so this area is an area of potential. And you mentioned the company Citadel. In Bitterwater, what they are doing is they are going to old wells and re-stimulating. So the techniques that are being used now is really to go to old wells and extract the remaining oil and gas that the old technologies could not. So that's why they're using technologies like fracking, steam injection, acidizing, which is pouring hydrofluoric acid into the ground and sort of breaking things up, dissolving, bringing up a lot of toxic heavy metals. So anyway, I just want to mention that it may seem remote, the possibility of drilling in this area, but there are old wells, maybe outside the city limits. In the hills north of here, I remember seeing a number. So I think by doing this and by helping San Benito Rising prevent the stimulation of these old wells, I think it would really protect our aquifers. And you know, someone said that there's only Citadel. I have a spreadsheet of all the wells in San Benito County, and a lot of them are old, most of them, and the number was like around 400. I was actually quite shocked by it. But a lot of them are plugged, but potentially in the future, when the price of oil is high enough and the demand and the technology is good enough, they will probably come and re-stimulate the wells. So I can share that with you, but there are actually a lot more companies in Citadel. There's Patriot Resources, I can't remember all of them. There's even next to Hollister city limits, I think it's called Bighorn, there's a gas, wells, at least a few that are active, quite a few plugged. So I just wanted to reiterate that it is a wise move. It's actually best to try to stop this before more of these companies come in, like Citadel, and re-stimulate the wells. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary. Is there anybody else before I close the public hearing that'd like to address us? Seeing none, I'll bring it back. And Jolene?
I just wanted to mention, I go to, I think it's earthquake.gov or something like that, fairly regularly and look at the earthquakes. And I've noticed that there are a lot more earthquakes than I used to see in places like Oklahoma. And so then I'll go and I look at the maps of where they're fracking. And I'm just looking, but it sure does look like a correlation. And we sure can't take any risk with that. And a couple of the speakers mentioned that they appreciate us for what we're doing, and I just want to mention I appreciate them, because even though there may not be a lot that we can do at this level, it's people like this who take it to the state and maybe even the federal level, which is really where I think this needs to be treated.
Anybody else?
No, we're good.
Rick, okay. Let's see here. City council comments. We don't.
Let's get down to this flip here.
Get all that stuff. Hey, you look bad.
She got 6 inches of
appointee for tourist business district. We discussed that. Did that go anywhere, or do you still need a person, or is this something for the future when
Something
they
for the future.
form it?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not anything that we need to get on. Okay, that's all
Tony?
I question.
My only comment is I probably killed my chances for re-election, but I really strongly believe in that ordinance.
Thanks for being real, Tony.
Hey, being Rick?
Yeah.
Robert?
All right, I'm good.
I'm also good. Let's see here.
Motion?
City manager.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind you, the Monterey Bay Division, the San Juan is hosting it at Hardeen's March the 10th. And this hors d'oeuvres about 5:30, and then the speaker will be at 6, and it's Dan Craig. and what to expect in the 2014 legislative session.
Okay.
Yes.
Matt, Aaron? Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, motion to
I'll
adjourn.
second it.
All in favor? Do I need a roll call vote on that? Okay, then we're adjourned.